Hey, what's up?
This is your girl, Taylor Wilde, reminding all my wild ones to like and subscribe the Wilde On YouTube and podcast. It means a hell of a lot to us and the Wilde On team because we don't have any major sponsorship. So we rely on all your likes and subscriptions. It only takes a second. Please do it. Today's guest is one of my wrestling sisters, who I met in WWE developmental Deep South Wrestling in 2006. She has 4.5 million followers on Instagram and is a 15-year veteran to WWE's SmackDown. She was gracious enough to be the final guest for Season 3 of Wilde On. So let's talk women's wrestling with the Canadian legend, Hart family royalty and queen. Ladies and gentlemen, my girl, Natalya Neidhart. You look gorgeous.
Thank you so much. I just finished a little workout. I'm just kind of getting through a little head cold. So I just did like a little active recovery at the gym.
Oh, good. Did you get traveling or just?
I had a match on Friday with Zaya.
Yeah.
Long story short, it was a very, very stressful day. And then like Saturday, I got like kind of started feeling run down. And then today I was like, oh, I got a head cold. So just drinking lots of water, did a little stretching and just, it'll be good. It'll be gone tomorrow.
Good. Positive thinking. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. That's what I keep telling myself.
So are you off the road then until March 6th?
No, I'm on the road again on Thursday. So, okay. Or is that March 6th?
That is March. I've lost all track.
That might be March 6th. I don't know what day it is. Yeah, I'm off the road until next week for a little bit next week. So, and then March, I'm just booked like crazy. So.
Really?
Yeah, it's like mania season. So it's like we're back on the road doing live events, and it's going to get a little wild.
So how are you going to keep yourself grounded? Like, what's your game plan when you're home?
Oh, well, when I'm home,
yeah.
I usually just try to I get in with my massage therapist. I work with a guy in Orlando that comes to my house. He's amazing. He's ART. Then I have an adrenal specialist that comes over, and he works with me for about 4 hours a week. And then I do a lot of I train 4 or 5 days a week at the gym, and then we have a ring that we train in as well. So I
see that all the time. That's so cool.
Yeah, I just try to do stuff that I like and be around people that I like and just do things that make me feel good. So and be around family. So it's nice to be around people that are nice and positive, and I have a very small circle, so it's nice.
Isn't it funny the older you get, the smaller your circle gets?
It's nice. I'm like, when I'm home, I'm like, I see my mom, my husband, and my sister, and that's it. And then my little sister lives in Orlando, so sometimes she comes over, but have a pretty small circle. So it's nice.
That's good. So what do you do outside of that to keep you grounded? Have you inherited any spiritual practices? Do you read? Do you paint? Do you do anything outside of the physical therapy part?
I see a therapist as well.
Beautiful.
A mental health therapist. I think it's really important, and that's just a good point to bring up. I think it's really important. One thing that I want to do, especially with the platform that I have in WWE, is I want to make sure that there is a focus on mental health that's the same kind of weight as the focus on physical health. Yeah. Because 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, people didn't talk about mental health. And especially as athletes, there needs to be that discussion more, because mental health, it can affect your performance just as much as an injury.
Absolutely.
And we saw that with Simone Biles, with the Olympics, where she kind of came forward and she was the best, or is one of the best gymnasts in the entire world, one of the best gymnasts in the history of the world. And I thought that was really cool that as a woman, she said, hey, and I don't know all the details of her situation, but in a nutshell, hey, I'm not feeling right up here. So I think this is dangerous for me to perform because something doesn't feel right up here. And for somebody that dedicates their entire life to their practice, their performance, and takes years to get to the Olympics, for her to say, like, there needs to be a discussion about mental health because I don't feel right. My head doesn't feel right. And the pandemic, it was so hard on everyone. Like, these world issues, they really weigh on people. You know, I mean, a pandemic that we've been in deep for almost 2 years, especially people that live in places like Canada. That, you know, my family that lives in Calgary, a lot of places are still shut down.
Yep.
You know, I live in Florida where we were relatively open the entire time, but Canada, like, it's a whole other ballgame. This Christmas, my uncle couldn't even have people over at his house. He's like, no, we weren't allowed anybody over for Christmas dinner. And I was like, that's crazy that you can't have family gatherings. They're so important for your mental health, to regroup, to recharge, to refocus. Like, you know, family is so important. So for me, working in WWE, especially as I continue to work there, and this is I'm going to be going into my 15th year in April.
Congratulations, Natty. I don't mean to cut you off, but honestly, your career has been an incredible journey to watch.
It's been a long journey.
15 years.
It's been great. I'm very grateful for my career, but I also feel the need, you know, like, for me, a lot of people look at my career too, and it's like they see, and it's because it's true. They see me as somebody that helps other people reach their dreams. That's why I kind of said on social media, I'm like the root of greatness, because so many people that are great in the company, they had their first match with me and they needed somebody to help them get through that fear of WWE. And it's a very intimidating company.
Oh, goodness.
You know, it's the biggest entertainment company in the world. So when you're Charlotte Flair and you're brand new and your dad's Ric Flair, and she went through a lot with her brother passing away, and it was just a lot to handle. And I worked with her in 2014, and, you know, again, talking about mental health, like, I know the pressures of growing up with my dad being, you know, a former WWE superstar, the things that he went through, the things that my uncles went through, the things that my grandfather went through, and how cool and special they were to WWE. So for me as a female, I was like, I don't even know how the heck I'm going to even fill these shoes. And then when I met Charlotte, she felt the same way. She was like, I feel so much pressure. I don't know what to do. And it took somebody to go, hey, I'm going to hold you by the hand. We're going to have this badass match. I know you're amazing. I know you're athletic. Let me help you. And so that's kind of like one of the cool aspects of my job, is that I can go down to the bottom of the mountain and grab girls and pull them up to the top of the mountain, because what's the point of sitting at the top of the mountain all alone, not doing anything?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah.
It's really important to, like, help bring people up so that I have competition, so that people know how to, like, break into WWE, because even at NXT, that's our developmental territory. And it's its own brand, no doubt. But there are so many women there that, like, they're at NXT. It's a different animal than the main roster. Raw and SmackDown are totally different than NXT. NXT can prepare you for it, but nothing really can prepare you for the machine, you know, and everything changes every day. So that's kind of the exciting and challenging part of WWE that can weigh on people's mental health, is that, as fun as it is, things change by the hour, things change by the minute. You know, you'll get told during the day you're doing this, and then it does change because of circumstances, because somebody got hurt, or somebody got COVID, or somebody's got a family emergency, or the storyline changed, and you have to always be willing to roll with the punches. Not everybody is an expert at adapting. Right. So for me, like, that's been one of the great things. I can take all the experience that I've had in WWE and be able to go, I've been through it. Yeah. I was freaking terrified, as you guys were with me when I was, you and Chrissy and Angel, you guys were with me when I first debuted or first got signed to developmental. And it was like, I was terrified. I had wrestled for 5 years prior, and I got to developmental, and I was like, I don't even know what a schoolboy is.
The pressure cooker that is, like, the developmental system. And I think you've raised a really interesting point that I think I overlooked as not someone who is a generational wrestler. I was speaking to Miranda Gordy, Ray Gordy's little sister, the other day.
Yeah, I love her.
Oh, she's adorable.
She's so sweet.
But it never occurred to me that besides the fact that you were the first female wrestler of the Hart family, you had these huge shoes to fill, but you had so much pressure, and you were this trailblazer for what was coming for all these other generational female wrestlers, for the Charlotte Flairs. And I don't think I ever considered how much pressure was actually on you to fill those family roles and as an additional female. And you've not only trailblazed, but instead of like, reaching the top of the mountain, which you've done again and again, year through and through, but you've been helping others instead of using your power and just being like, nope, this is my circle. You are propelling women's wrestling to where it is right now. And I have to commend you. You've done an incredible job.
Thank you. It's not been easy because it was like, I had my own journey. I had a really hard time getting hired. I won't get into all that, but it was just not easy. I was too much of a wrestler. I wasn't a model or an actress or a dancer. I loved wrestling.
Yep.
And then when you come from a family where your uncle is Bret Hart and you have, Owen Hart, the British Bulldogs, your dad is Jim Neidhart, my grandfather, was Sue Hart. And it's like, you have all these huge expectations. And then you make it to WWE and everybody thinks that you have to be great. And I was just still kind of getting my feet, getting my bearings, learning who I was.
Yeah. And
I remember there were people that helped me kind of find my way, especially when I got to the main roster. But I always tried to pay that forward.
Beautiful.
Chavo Guerrero was somebody that really helped me a lot when I first got, because he was a generational kid. And how he helped me was how Bret and Owen helped The Rock. When The Rock first got to WWE, there was like people there that weren't really good to him, that weren't really nice to him, because when you're like coming in, you're getting a big push, or the company wants to give you a push, you're going to have people that feel weird about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know like exactly who it was, but I just remember hearing The Rock in interviews saying like it was hard for him because he just felt like people were judging him. And then Bret and Owen took him in under their wings and he never forgot it.
Right.
And it makes a huge difference. That's why for me, I'm glad that I can do that. And especially because, as I was saying earlier, going back to mental health, I just think that it's so important, especially as women, to be able to go, I know on TV I play the role of a bad guy.
Yeah.
But I can see that, Zaya is brand new and she's just learning the English language. She's trying her hardest. She's been training and she's been working hard for this chance to make her debut in WWE. And how can I help her showcase herself in the best possible way in 2 minutes on SmackDown? You know what I mean? And it's like, I know we don't have a lot of time, but 2 minutes is still 2 minutes. Let's make it amazing. Let's make sure that Zaya shines. Let's make sure she stands out. Not everybody knows how to do that or wants to do that.
Yeah.
So for me, like, that's what I see, like, to get to the top of the mountain. For me, I'm, in WWE, I've won championships. I've done great things. I've made history. I've been a part of almost everything that you could be a part of there. Yeah. Now it's cool to be able to go down, like I said, back down to the bottom of the mountain and bring people up and go, this is what it feels like.
Right.
Or even when we have ladder matches, this is how you carry a ladder. This is how you put the ladder in the ring. This is how you can fall safely off the ladder, because again, we got to protect each other. If we're all hurt, we don't have people to wrestle.
Yeah. And you, not only are you helping women's wrestling push further and further year after year, you are actually changing the mindset, because, back in our day when we were in developmental or even on the indies, there was very much a pay your dues and receipts, and it wasn't like you weren't necessarily being held up by veterans. It was kind of like you were kept in your place and they weren't going to bring you up. So I hope all the women that you are giving the rub to, that you are helping elevate their talent, I just hope that they continue to pass that torch, because that is what's changing women's wrestling, is the sisterhood. And that's what was missing before, because we had wrestlers and models, and we weren't intentionally being catty. We were all like trying to compete for this spot, and we didn't know where we fit in. So it didn't breed the sisterhood. It pinned us all against each other.
100%. And you have women from every walk of life. You have Ronda Rousey, who now she's taken a few years off. She's a mom, but she's still finding her groove. It's not easy coming back after giving birth and, being away from everything for years. And so she's trying to find her groove. And, Charlotte, she's got lots of pressures just being kind of a generational kid. So she's always trying to make sure that people understand, hey, I'm not just getting all this because of my last name. And Sasha, of course, has transcended even beyond WWE, having been a part of The Mandalorian, which is huge. I mean, to be a part of the Star Wars trilogy. But Sasha and Bailey, I witnessed firsthand those two women did so much to help Bianca last year when Bianca was on her rise in WWE, when Bianca needed all the help she could get. Right. Sasha and Bayley, like, they were two women that I was like so impressed by, that they had the star power being the 4 horsewomen.
Yeah.
And they helped. They were like, listen, we're going to hold Bianca by the hand. We're going to make sure she shines. We're going to help her get to where she needs to go until Bianca could soar on her own.
Yeah.
And then you see Bianca pay it forward. And it's cool watching Bianca pay it forward to Liv. Bianca pay it forward to Doudrop. Bianca and Becky will have such incredible chemistry at WrestleMania. I think that's one of the matches I'm most excited about seeing.
Yes.
And they have a really cool story because Bianca and Becky, they were the first women to win WrestleMania main events.
Wow.
So it's really cool that they get it and then play it back from this summer at SummerSlam where, Becky, the bad girl, beat Bianca in like 26 seconds. Now it's like Bianca needs to get redemption. Will Bianca get redemption? But it's all about paying it forward, and everybody's at different levels.
Right.
Everybody's at a different level. People are going through stuff at home. The pandemic has been very hard on everyone. Even just the stuff right now in the world with, like, sometimes I feel guilty posting a nice selfie on Instagram because I'm like, I feel so bad about like all the sadness that's going on with Ukraine and Russia. It's just like, I have Russian friends and Ukrainian friends, and they're, both great people. And like, my friend Lana, CJ Perry, she's like, she's of Russian descent. She's like heartbroken by all this. It's like so sad.
Yeah.
So there are heavy times in the world right now. So hopefully people can tune in to Raw or SmackDown or NXT and they can get a little reprieve from all of the sadness and just take their minds off things a little bit.
I agree. Entertainment has always been our escape. And I think as wrestlers, there's so much risk when traveling during these crazy times that even if it's, even though it's a little bit of a risk for wrestlers, it's still, giving you that little bit of mental getawayness. It's even, even though it's work, it's consistency.
Yeah, it's not, I don't enjoy traveling, to be perfectly honest. Like, I've realized, especially with like the restrictions at the airport, like, but yeah, like it's hard traveling with the masks and the restrictions and stuff, but we're making it work. We're making it work. I'm actually getting ready to wrestle Sasha at Madison Square Garden next weekend. So I'm really excited about that.
That's huge.
I know. We've been looking forward to working with each other for a while. So I'm really excited about it. She's somebody that, like, whenever she comes to train with me, she's somebody that's so inspiring. I love training with her. She like always pushes you to want to be better. And she always wants to like come up with innovative ideas. And she's truly a student of the game. And I think that's why she's so good at what she does, is because she's always trying to be better. She's trying to help the women that she's working with be better. And it's really cool to see like women that love this.
Yeah.
I know that it's not your fault sometimes too. And you know what this is like, because we started around the same time in WWE, that you'd see people get hired and they were just like a model or somebody that was an athlete. And you were like, oh my God, I can't believe they don't know who Bret Hart is, but that's their journey.
Yeah.
You can't blame them if they get hired and then they don't know of, certain really important aspects of our business. But what's cool to see is when they get hired and they were maybe never fans, and then they completely fall in love with this. Like Bianca, where she's like, wow, I love pro wrestling. I can't believe I get to do this. And she also has kind of become a student of the game in the sense that she wasn't from this, I don't really think she was a fan of it growing up.
Right.
But then she ended up like, now she's engulfed in it, and she works really, really hard. She's on all the live events and all the pay-per-views, and she's doing all the media. And it's like, it's cool to see her learning about it and being excited about it, going, this is a really cool world.
Yeah.
So I like those kind of positive success stories.
Absolutely. Now, you touched on Ronda Rousey, and that reminded me of kind of similar to the world we first came into, where we had the wrestlers and we had the models. But obviously, Ronda Rousey is a huge name in her sport, huge respect, has done a lot for women's MMA. But when you first started working with her, what was it like in terms of her crossing over to learn how to be a professional wrestler?
She, like three-ish years ago, when I first was training with her, I found her to be really motivated.
Okay.
She really wanted to learn everything she could about what we did in WWE. And, she had done judo and she had done MMA, obviously a pioneer in women's MMA, and somebody that put, women in MMA on the map.
Yeah.
But she understood pretty fast that WWE and pro wrestling, it's a whole different animal. It's not just going there and it's, you versus your opponent. It's like, hey, you got to like make sure that you have a good relationship with the girls that you're working, because these people, it's like a dance. It's not Dancing with the Stars, but it's kind of like we're in there and it's a fight and the dance. It's you have to be able to gel and to trust the people that you're in there with, because you're giving them your body and they're giving you their body.
Yeah.
So I feel like she picked up on it really fast because she had respect. She was always super respectful to me. And, I can never when we were putting matches together, like we had a match on Raw once for Christmas. It was like 2019 or 2018 in December. We had our only singles match together. And long story short, she was really trusting of me. She wasn't telling me, hey, I need to look strong, or I can't do this, or I don't think my character would do that. She was like, you take the reins, you tell me what to do. I trust you, Daddy. And like, she really trusted me to guide her. And
Good.
it made me so happy, because we had this phenomenal match. I loved our match together. And she trusted me in the sense that she knew that I wasn't going to like let her fall, but I was also going to make sure that she shined and make sure that I shined, so that we could have a good story. And one of the things I think she's so good at, I don't even know if she realizes how good at it she is. She's really good at selling. And I think in order for baby faces to be really good, just to get connected to the audience, they have to know how to sell.
Agreed.
And Ronda, I think because she's been through so much in her life, like her childhood was very hard, and, losing her dad at a very young age, her mom raising her as a single mom. She had a speech impediment until she was like 8 or 9. I think she's been through some really traumatic things in her life. So she understands how to dig deep and make people feel something.
Right.
And I think now, even as a mom, you're seeing a different layer of her. Like she's, moms, as you know, because you're a mom, like you have that, like, and I'm speaking from like reference from Beth, because Beth is a mom of 2. You have a more maternal, kind of a softer side of you that you never really tapped into before.
Oh, yes.
And I think that Ronda's kind of seeing that there's like a little bit more, like her focus is a little different now. She loves what she's doing in WWE, but she's like, I'm a mom. So like things are a little different. Same with Becky.
Yeah.
Becky doesn't have that, like neither Ronda or Becky come off to me as being like ruthless killers. They come off to me as being a little bit more cerebral, strategic, like more, just very cerebral about how they go into fights, because moms just have a more sensitive side to them. They're more maternal, they're more loving. But I liked what Ronda's last post she posted about she got attacked by Charlotte, Sonia. Yeah. She said, like, I'm even on my worst day, I'm better than you all on your best days. Something like that. Like, even on my worst days, I'm better than all of you, because she knows what it's like to be at the bottom. Yeah. She knows what it's like to have 6 or 7 knee surgeries. She knows what it's like to give birth. She knows what it's like to, lose a fight. She knows what it's like to endure trauma. She's like, and I've endured all of that. And I can beat you with my hand tied behind my back. I can beat you with both my legs being screwed up, because I've been through it all. Right. And so it's a good message for people to see that, you have to go through something hard. Things should be a struggle. Yeah. And there should be learning curves, and especially in WWE, people shouldn't just get this like that. There should be those learning curves so that you understand and appreciate how special this is. So she's a good example of somebody that's endured something. And I like working with her. I really like working with her. She's been nothing but respectful to me. I think it's because she fears me.
Yeah, girl. It's true. That's respect at its finest, right? She should fear you.
Yeah, she should.
Well, I can't. It's so incredible that you've been with WWE for 15 years now. Like, that's a huge feat for a male wrestler. But as a woman, I really hope that you have time and you've spent the time to, really take a step back, especially during the pandemic, and like, look what I have done, look what I've grown. And you were the exception to the rule. We came in during that Divas era, and you have carved out your own space. And I would say you probably, single-handedly have helped propel women's wrestling to where it is today, where we see wrestlers. Women's wrestling is way better than it was 10 years ago.
I know. Thank you. And it's nice to be able to see the women grow and to see women, like I remember I was like Eve Torres's first match and I was, Charlotte's first match in WWE. And I was like on TV and I was a lot of people's first matches. And I always remembered like, I just always kept with me, and I know I'm a broken record, but I always kept with me how special it was to get hired, how nervous I was, how much it meant to me, how I almost didn't get that chance, and how I could help somebody. Even when Tegan Knox was debuting last summer, I was like, what can I do to help Tegan like shine? Even though we only had like really short, SmackDown's challenging because it's a shorter show than Raw, so you don't don't entirely get as much TV time as Raw, but I remember when Shotzi and Tegan were first debuting against me and Tamina, I was like, what can we do to help Tegan and Shotzi shine? I'm already established.
Yeah.
I've already got hundreds and hundreds of wins. What can I do in this short amount of time to make sure that Tegan looks great or that Shotzi looks like she's a force to be reckoned with? Like, because I needed that so much when I was first debuting. And like, I love being able to see other women, get those moments as long as, like you said, as long as they pay it forward.
Yes.
And I was so impressed by Lita's performance in Saudi Arabia. And Lita is somebody that's in her mid 40s, which, we look at, there's a ton of guys in WWE in their mid 40s. Yeah. Like a lot of our top stars are in their mid 40s, from Brock Lesnar to AJ Styles, a lot of our best talents, Bobby Lashley. Yeah. So to me, like, age shouldn't, if you can go and you look good and you feel good and you can tell great stories and you can rock and roll, to me, age should never be a number. But watching Lita and Becky Lynch, I was like, wow, Lita really hasn't missed a beat. I felt like she performed better in Saudi Arabia than I remembered her. Like, she was, not only has she not lost a beat, but she was better than she'd ever been.
Yeah.
And it really was inspiring to go, wow, like, this is so amazing. And also because I was in Saudi Arabia, to see the changes that we're making and the visibility that we're giving that country in such a huge way. Like, we're really opening up doors that had never been opened before in Saudi Arabia. And just in that culture, it's cool to be a part of that change with them and to see women. Lita and Becky were on, like, they were front and center. Sorry, I've got low battery mode.
That's okay.
Lita and Becky were front and center of these massive billboards all across Riyadh and all across Jeddah. And like, everybody was just like, you could see these women's faces when, like, we 3 years ago weren't allowed to go over there.
Right.
Yeah. So it's so cool to see these big changes being made and women really leading the charge. Yeah. And last year we had the most WrestleMania matches for women in the history of the company. So that's my goal this year. That's like something I'm really inspired to be a part of, is to make sure that since WrestleMania is across 2 nights, we're expecting nearly 200,000 people. My goal is to make sure that every single woman is represented in some way, whether it's a pre-tape backstage, whether it's a match, whether it's them hosting the show or co-hosting the show. I think there's room for every single girl in WWE to be a part of the show and feel that inclusion. And I think that's such an important message when you've been working here all year long, especially through a global pandemic. I really want to see and make sure that, it's not just celebrities coming in for, not that I have the choice. I'm not WWE creative, but, you want to see, it's great that we get guests that come back or legends that come back, but the girls that have been here all year long, putting in that time, I want to make sure that they're represented on the show, because that is what continues to drive both divisions on Raw and SmackDown forward, where people the day after WrestleMania are so excited, they're so recharged, they just want to go out and work their hardest, because they know if they work their ass off, they can again be a part of WrestleMania just like they were the night before.
Right.
So that's the goal, and hopefully we get to achieve that.
So, I can't help but hear, like, Natty, the wrestler that I've known my whole life, or my whole wrestling life, basically. You sound like you are naturally just falling into this moonlighting of like management or agenting, or do you see yourself kind of swinging in between roles or maybe setting into more of a creative role?
I don't think so. What's funny is that I've been like, it's funny because like there's a couple people that, my husband, for example, he was always told, you're going to be a producer one day, because he just is very gifted. He's like a wrestling savant.
Yes.
And I'm so biased, but like, he's just like, he's truly a genius when it comes to like how he sees a match and a vision. And he bases a lot of his wrestling psychology off of the NBA, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, like about how they play their games. It's really cool. And TJ's like, this year at Survivor Series, he produced 1/3 of the show. Last year at WrestleMania, he did 52 hours of rehearsals and 4 women's matches and like had it all like in his head.
Go TJ.
He's so good at what he does. He's so like the girls, he's like their inspiration. But for me, I don't see myself being a producer per se, but I'm also one of those types of people that you never say never. I just don't like, I love helping people, but I also love being in front of the camera. I love speaking. I love hosting things. I love being on Total Divas, which, that was so fun. And I'd still love to do something like that.
Yeah.
Do reality TV, or like, I love my sister and I do a fun YouTube show. Like I'm not the greatest at holding the candle for someone else and then not being in front of the camera.
Right.
Because I feel like I'm just not there yet in my career. And I'm not really sure if I have the patience to be a producer. They have the toughest jobs in the entire company.
Yeah.
They don't always, our producers in WWE, they're so unsung. They don't always get the credit that they deserve. And you see somebody like Adam Pearce, he's a GM on the show, but he also handles a lot of, things backstage that nobody even sees. He trains people during the week. He works Raw, he works SmackDown. A lot of our producers are on the road 6 days a week. And it's really, really challenging and really hard because they don't always get an action figure. They don't always get to be in a video game. They don't always get that spotlight. And they're the first ones in the building, the last ones to leave. If something goes wrong, sometimes, they have to handle it. It's a lot. So I don't know if I'm too selfish to be a producer.
No, I don't. You know what? I don't think that's selfish. I just think that's being in perfect alignment and being authentic to yourself. You know your strengths and you can still help people, but you don't need the title per se. And you know what? Keep going. You got gas in the tank, girl. Keep going.
Yeah. I know. I feel good. I feel knock on wood. I feel ridiculously good, especially for the amount of matches that I've had. I've had so many matches and so worked with so many different people, but like I've been really strategic about taking care of my body. And that's one of the things that I think has kept me going as long as I've been going in WWE, is like understanding when to push forward and knowing when to pull back.
Right.
Knowing, like, I'm religious about, what I eat, what I put into my body, nutrition, but also vitamins and taking care of myself. I learned a lot about like longevity when I started reading up on Tom Brady and how he, was the best. He was at the top of his game, especially when he retired, because he was on the table a lot during the week doing recovery.
Right.
He wasn't just good at what he did because he was just good at what he did. He also put a lot of time into his recovery, his maintenance. All of us, whether you're a professional athlete or not, you have to be constantly thinking about your maintenance. We only get this one body. This is our house for ourselves. And we need to make sure to, give it the proper nutrition and love and respect that it needs, whether it's going to see a therapist, or whether it's going to get a nice massage, surrounding yourself with people that you love, taking really good vitamins, eating a really good dinner,
I just wanted to know, speaking of the unsung heroes backstage, I want to give a little bit of light there. Who is your favorite backstage person? And I don't want you to have to like pick one, but who's like the silliest dude or female backstage that you're just always so excited to see? Who's your favorite backstage hero?
Ooh, I would say favorite backstage person. I would say maybe Kofi Kingston.
Oh, Kofi!
Kofi. We started with Kofi. He was with us. He's been there for longer than I've been in WWE, and he's always just so positive. Yeah. He just gets it. He's so happy. He's funny. He just cares about everyone. I've never seen Kofi, I've never seen him lose his cool. I've never seen him in a bad mood. I've never seen him change in a way that's negative. I know we all are supposed to change, grow and evolve, but Kofi is he's one of those people that he's the same person that I met 15 years ago. And he's the same person today, in the sense that he's just so genuine and truly just cares about everyone. And he's really funny. He just knows how to turn a bad situation into a great situation. He's I think he's truly one of the anchors of WWE as far as I'm concerned.
No, well, that warms my heart. He's one of ours. We claim him.
Yes, he's an FCW original.
Oh, the chaos years.
I know.
Okay, well, it was so lovely that you made time for me today. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so glad we had a moment to catch up.
Yeah, I'm so glad too. Thank you so much for thinking of me. And
Yeah. Well, you were my first interview, and we had, I think, just like 900 downloads after your first interview. And I just want to say we've had 45,000 downloads. 45,000 downloads. So thank you for helping me build this women's wrestling podcast. I really appreciate you. And you're going to be the episode that closes out season 3. So I love you.
Amazing. I love you too. And thank you so much for having me on, and let me know when it's on so I can promote it.
Oh, that would be really wonderful. I appreciate it. Give TJ a squeeze for me.
I will.
Okay.
Have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Bye, Denzel.